currently listening to the Ones Ready podcast, a team of Air Force Special Operators forged in combat with over 70 years of combined operational experience as well as a decade of selection instructor experience. If you're tired of settling and you want to do something you truly believe in, you're in the right place. Now here's your host, PJ team leader, jiu-jitsu lover, meme enthusiast, and dad joke aficionado, Aaron Love.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Team Room and this special edition of the Ones Ready podcast. I am Aaron, your host for today, guiding you through this fantastical voyage that we have here in the Team Room. We have a special one today. Connor Bad News Matthews is here with us on the podcast. We're going to get into his entire story of the military, him being a combat controller, and now him being one of the hottest 145-pound fighters in the game, getting it on. So first, I want to say thanks to everybody that listens to the podcast, that goes to the Instagram, that checks the Facebook pages, leaves comments, talks to each other. We couldn't do this without you guys. We appreciate you a ton. So keep doing it. Go to the YouTube, check out the video of this podcast with all the other ones that we drop. Remember, Saturdays are for the Team Room, so go check those out as they come out. You know, we can't do this thing alone. We got a bunch of people that we've brought with us and that help us out. If you need some good, clean energy that you can put in your ruck on a long day like I had yesterday that isn't an energy can, go check out Strike Force Energy. Put in the code ONESREADY at checkout. They'll give you a sweet discount. Do we get that money? Absolutely not. They're just there to help us promote the podcast and get it out there. And it is awesome. And I got some in my cup right now because for me, it's early in the morning for doing this thing. Especially for this one, you're going to want to go check out the YouTube channel because today, fighting out of Freetown, Massachusetts, with a professional record of 3-0, currently on a 3-fight win streak, the baddest ass, most tough combat controller in the fight game today, Connor Bad News Matthews. What's up, dude?
How you doing, guys? What's going on? Doing pretty good right now, man. The fight thing has been going really good since I got out of the military. I just went pro. I'm actually only 2-0 right now, but soon to be 3-0, hopefully in a couple of weeks. But it's been going really good, man. How you guys doing?
Man, we're awesome out here. We're always good. We just get together. We've quarantined ourselves in our own little holes. We put Jared in a hotel room this time, so we at least got him out the garage. Trent hasn't said a word since April. We're relatively sure it's a weekend at Bernie's sort of scenario. He's not even alive. Coronavirus got him, dog.
I think so, man. This is crazy. I know it's a crazy weekend right now. Just the whole world's come to a halt with this coronavirus thing, and it's pretty wild. It's like, I mean, for me, I'm always training all the time. I'm in the gym. I'm constant human-to-human contact with all these different people. I teach kids, and I'm just like, I'm fucked. I'm screwed here. You know what I mean? So we'll see what's going on here. I mean, I've been feeling healthy right now, so I just got to keep drinking water, and hopefully I don't pick up this virus. But who knows?
That's all you can do.
That's it. And just hope. Hope is not a good plan, except with COVID-19.
I think we might be in a 28 days later scenario, honestly. I mean, we could wake up here and I could go outside this hotel right now and there's no one moving, just cars crash and everything.
But here's the thing. Man. Here's the thing, man. AF Spec War dudes are uniquely suited for a zombie apocalypse, man. If you get an AF Spec War team, you're good. You got your PJ, you got your controller, you got your SR guy. Like, we got bases covered, man.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I was saying that. I was like, man, at least I know a lot of good dudes to team up with if this whole post, like zombie apocalypse kind of thing happens. I know a lot of good dudes, and I'm going to go team up with them. I'm probably going to go back to Washington, even though that's a bad place to go to, but I got a lot of good friends up there. Especially you up there, the SR team. I'll be all right.
I'll meet you at the I'll meet you at the armory, hit the 5-troop room. We'll go ahead and get our minds together, and then we go.
Let's do it. Back to work.
So,
hopefully my cage is still up there.
It probably is. Yeah, it's probably dirty though. So, hey, so Connor, as we all know, man, Connor, you were talking about it beforehand, but Connor started off as a combat controller inside of the Air Force before this budding fight career, his inevitable track to UFC gold. So, Connor, why don't you just lay it out, man? Like, did you get in to be a combat controller? What was your pipeline like? What were some challenges you had to overcome? Just for our listeners to let us know, because being an MMA fighter is like top 1% of all of humanity anyway, but the fact that you used combat control to springboard into the fight game, man, that's a pretty great story. So just lay that out for us.
Yeah, man. So obviously I didn't foresee. I mean, I was been doing martial arts since I was a little kid, and I never really, I didn't think I was going to use this CCT as a platform for my MMA career. But man, when I went into the military and came out, I mean, it kind of it kind of fit really well, especially with fans and stuff like that. People like to follow, there's a lot of guys who like the military, a lot of guys, and I'm kind of doing, Tim Kennedy does the same kind of thing. And I'm kind of went with that way. It's like promoting myself, but it's not the only reason why. I really want to promote the career fields of special warfare and combat control specifically, because nobody knows what a combat controller it's starting to grow, I think, nowadays with social media. But before that, I didn't know what a combat controller was before I joined the military. Most people don't really know what a combat controller is. So, for me, I'm really trying to shed light on that. But I'll just kind of tell you how I got into, special tactics or, special warfare, to begin with. So I actually was originally, I wanted to be a SEAL. I saw that movie Act of Valor came out. And I thought it was really, really cool. This is 2010 or something like that, 2009, 2010, a while ago. And I was training, doing MMA at the time. I've been doing this. I started fighting in 2011 is when I started my amateur MMA career. And so after I graduated high school, I had a fight literally a month later after I graduated. My coaches kind of actually threw me in there. They're like, "You're fighting. You don't really have a choice." You know what I mean? They wanted to see me. They knew they could see what I was doing in the gym and stuff. They're like, "You're just going to go in there." So I had my first fight, went in, I beat the guy in a minute and 56 seconds or something like that. All my MMA fights have been pretty short, man. I've been, my whole career. Even the one I lost.
Hey man, just be efficient. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm in there I'm not getting paid for how long I'm in there. So it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? But, so after I graduated high school, I was chasing that MMA dream for a year and a half, 2 years. But, I was still living at my parents' house, and they were kind of starting to get on me. My dad's a college professor. So he's really into education, and he was just like, "Hey man, you need to figure out what you're going to do in your life." We're always open to the military. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll try give the SEAL thing a try. So I went into a Navy recruiter, and he kept on just giving me all these bullshit. He's like, I was like, "Hey man, I want to be an operator. I want to do I was thinking maybe either SEAL or special boat crew or one of those cool whatever job. And he kept on he's like, "Nah, you probably want to be." He had one of those ideas that I think people get into these things that it's impossible to be a Navy SEAL or impossible to be a combat or PJ. They just think these things are just so far fetched when it's not for everybody. That was his mentality. So he just is like, "You're probably not going to make it. You should probably just do a job like this, do a job like that." And I was just like, "No, I'm not doing that." So that's when I walked across the hall, went over to the Air Force recruiter. And
that's the worst recruiter of all time. They're like, "I don't know, man. I've never seen you before, but I don't think you can make it. You want to be a fireman on a boat?"
Exactly. As I was like, "Yeah, it's stupid." So that's why I walked over to the Air Force recruiter. And the Air Force recruiter, they were really pushing a PJ back then, and he was all about it. So I started training for that. Started getting into the pool a lot, and ended up taking my pass test. And when I took my pass test, this guy Waldo, I don't know if you guys know Waldheim. He's a old combat controller. Fucking, this dude's smoking cigarettes during the pass test, when you're running the track. He's old school, big mustache and super hard. I remember I was running in for time, and I was and I was panting heavy. I sprinted. I did a really fast time. I was doing a 7:45, something ridiculous for my mile and a half. And I was panting. I was coming in. He's like, "Shut up." He's like, what did he say? He said, he's like, "Suffer in silence, blah, blah, blah." Just getting on me. I was
yeah.
It made me feel a little bit, I don't know. So anyway.
Attention-seeking behavior.
Yeah, attention-seeking behavior, exactly. So he got on me right away. So after he got finished the test, I did everything. I crushed all my numbers. And then he's just like, "All right, man, so where do you want to go? Do you want to be a PJ or do you want to be a combat controller?" And I was like, what's the better job? He's like, "It doesn't matter what the better job is." He's like, he's like, "What do you want to do? Do you want to save people or do you want to kill people?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I want to kill people." And he's like, "All right, I'm putting you as a CCT." I was like,
"Well, just to put this out there, I kill people too, but it's because of my subpar medicine. So whatever."
Your words. I didn't say that.
So so then, so I started going to, so I started researching, a little bit what CCT did at that point. And, dude, they like, air traffic control. I had no idea. I was like a 20-year-old kid that's been focusing on fighting the last, 3 or 4 years after, I mean? I had no idea what air traffic controller was. And, so I thought they're the dudes out there on the runway with the batons marshaling aircraft, but I had no idea. So I got in there, ended up figuring out what we did. So it was a really cool job. Joined pipeline was I went down to San Antonio, did base training, selection. So I started off with selection, like my swimming times, I was like the worst. But as soon as we put those fins on, I became like a really good swimmer, and I just ended up crushing it. You know what I mean? You can ask all my friends do the pipeline. I've always been pretty like the physical parts were always, pretty not, I wouldn't say easy with me. I definitely think I learned a lot about myself going through the pipeline, but, I was able to, do better than my peers in that. And then, academically, always a little bit of a struggle, but I always, figured out a way to get it done. I studied my ass off, worked hard. And
was that the hard part of the pipeline for you? Was that the hard part of? Yeah,
absolutely. Air traffic control, like depending on what the air traffic control was, it was a hard part of the pipeline for me, man. I had no idea what I was even getting myself into. Like, you know what I mean? So like, it took a little while to figure it out, like what the hell was going on. Then once I figured it out, I actually think I became a pretty good air traffic controller. Especially when I got to team, I really worked on it, I focused on it because I ended up being the guy that probably did the most, ATC and stuff on my deployment and talking to aircraft because I just really like honed it. I knew that's what I needed to work on. I was struggling with this, so I just really buttoned down, focus on it. But then there's like the other things in the pipeline that was easy for me, like like land navigation, some reasons, like those kind of things. Like anything that's like really practical, I was good at. I'm always good at like shooting stuff, just normal stuff. Like I know I didn't really struggle with, but like ATC was a struggle for me for sure.
It's funny you say that because we actually get a lot of questions about people that want to. Like, hey, what kind of courses or what can I focus on, academically before coming in? Because a lot of people are worried about the dive physics, about the ATC, about the medicine, and it's like, don't worry about it. You guys will be fine. If you're able to score well on the ASVAB, well enough to get in, you will be fine. Now, some people have different aptitudes. Like, if you're going to put medicine on me, like that's going to be difficult for me. That's not in my wheelhouse, right? But if you want to start talking about, building 3D, 4D pictures, with the air, that comes natural to me.
Exactly. And I think it's a clicking thing. So like that's what happened to me. Like I can build that 4D, like in my head, that clicked to me one day. And I was like, oh, okay, now I get what's going on. But, for that, trying to control planes with air, like with words and not understanding distances and doing these things in sims and not really understanding what I was looking at. I had a little bit of time. It took me a little, time to figure that part of the job out. But, once you figure it out, it's definitely, like you said, they have an ASVAB for a reason. And I think it works pretty well, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It absolutely does.
If you can make it through that. And then the others, if it's just stay active, keep your brain active. Like, don't read a book every once in a while. You know what I mean? Do things that actually keep your brain active. Don't just let it go completely dormant. That's what happened to me, though. Like, after I graduated high school, I didn't pick up a book at all. I didn't do anything besides train because I was fighting. My brain, all I wanted to do was fight all the time. So I just didn't do that. So when I got back into the pipeline, and then I thought the pipeline was going to be all physical, and it wasn't. It was a big
surprise.
Very much a surprise. You can't just be dumb.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've been fighting well before the military. What is that draw that has taken you into the military, or I'm sorry, not into the military, into fighting? Like, where's that passion come from? Have you always been that way, or like?
Yeah. So I mean, especially from kids, like, man, when it came to, like, let's just say, like, doing sprints on my foot, like for football or something like that, I'm always going to try to finish first. And I've always been like that. Like, everything I've done, I've always had this drive to, like, just do my best, you know what I mean? At all times. I played hockey. I was a really big hockey player on the ice playing hockey. I wanted to originally I wanted to be a professional hockey player when I was a kid. Anything I ever did, I wanted to be, try to do it at the top level. And, I guess maybe that's something that was born into me, or, maybe I don't know why I'm like that, but that's just something I've always had. And fighting I mean, fighting came from martial arts. I started doing point sparring when I was a kid, which, doing, competitions, doing even just techniques and fighting was just a natural progression. I didn't just like get thrown into a cage one day because I wanted, like, I was bloodthirsty to fight in a fight and get hit in the head. Like, dude, I try not to get hit as much as possible, to be honest, but you know what I mean? And I
picture you as like a feral kid literally being thrown in.
Yeah, no. It wasn't like that at all. I mean, I had a pretty good progression to getting into the cage to fight. And now it's become such a normal thing to me. That's like, I don't get like that adrenaline nerves that people usually get in a fight, which I think was really good for helping me get through the pipeline with like jumping out of planes and staying calm, and you know what I mean, like, doing your procedures while you're falling from aircraft, and that stuff actually helped me again, doubled when I came back to fighting. I'm like, all right, what's the worst that can happen? I get knocked out. At least I'm not like gonna die from a malfunction on my parachute or something like that, or run over an aid. There's anything that could. We do so many dangerous things stateside when we're training. That you have to be locked on and focus on diving, jumping, fast roping, all these things that that are actually scary. So like for me, going back to fighting in a cage, it's not really that scary anymore. It's like, yeah.
Well, I tell you what probably is scary. So obviously, a lot of that fighting translates directly into the military, especially special warfare. But man, you took a gamble, if you will, to like get out and focus on fighting as your primary career. That's ballsy, man, and especially when you know the odds and you're doing well at it. And I mean, I think that's amazing. So how did you make that leap?
So there's definitely stress involved with that, with, actually being successful in what I'm doing, and a lot of doubt from other people, not just like from other people on to me saying like, you really think this is a good idea to get out and focus on art? If you really think about martial arts is an art, it's like going out and doing art, you know what I mean? And you focus on something that's kind of like a far-fetched dream. Do you really think that's, something that's smart? When I had a great freaking job in the military, one of the best, I think, honestly, the best enlisted job you could have in the military. I still love the job, love the career field. And, I was doing awesome things there. And, they're like, do you think, that's a really good decision and making pretty good money? And I was just like, yeah, and I don't know, maybe I rolled the dice, but I was really confident in myself. Because I knew, like, from what I did in the pipeline, that like I just know I could rise above, what other people do. I don't like everybody, like, even in the pipeline, right? So people, you have those naysayers when you're in your team that are like, and usually those are first guys to quit. And
hater,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like haters, or they'll just say like, oh man, this event coming up is like so bad, blah blah blah. They start talking about it, right? And then you get there and you accomplish that event, and you're like, that wasn't as bad as they said. I mean, maybe it did suck in the moment, but once you get done with it, it's never as bad as people say. And I kind of just thought about that with fighting. Like, people are like, yeah, man, you have to fight all those savages. You have to fight, these guys, this guy. And I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, maybe it's going to suck, but I think I'll get through it because I've done this over and over again. You know what I mean?
And then hold up, dog. Yeah, I had to fight those savages. No, I am that savage.
Exactly. Yeah. And dude, and when it comes to martial arts, man, I've been like a lot of MMA fighters, like a lot of kids do martial arts when they're a kid and then they quit and then they leave it and they never come back. And then very few people just stay consistent with it and do it throughout their whole life. And I've been really consistent with martial arts for my whole life. So I have probably more time fighting than most people, around at a high level. So like, I'm pretty confident with when I was 18, 17, I was fighting with professional MMA fighters all the time, and sparring with guys who were in the UFC or guys that were in Bellator, weekly as like an 18-year-old kid. I didn't realize how hard, like, for me, I thought they're just guys in the gym, but I didn't realize like the dudes I was sparring with and how good they were, and how tough they were making me. So I was just lucky in that aspect. And yeah, so that's why when I got out, it really panned out for me. I was like, start fighting, and also I'm in this gym up here at Lozon MMA that just like he's if you don't know if you guys know Joe Lozon, he's a UFC.
Joe Lozon, the sharpest elbows in the game, man. He was famous for he was famous for opening people up with his elbows. He's nasty off his back. Yeah, Joe Lozon's one of my favorite fighters.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, he's going to be a UFC Hall of Famer, and so that's like I grew up in his gym. And him and like, my gym and his gym were like really, really closely connected. And then when I came back, I just signed full on to Joe Lozon's gym. And yeah, I mean, he really took under his wing. I'm teaching classes at his gym right now. So he's kind of giving me like for financially, I'm the kickboxing coach at his gym. So, he's helping me out in that aspect, and I'm just fighting for him. And yeah, man, that helped me out a lot, honestly.
Yeah. And I like what you were talking about earlier about the fights preparing you for that heightened sense of just like chaos. You're in that ring for however many minutes it's going to happen. It's just the same way whenever you're doing like 10 ups or you're doing whatever in the pool and there's a bunch of screaming, yelling, you feel like you're getting punched in the face because, you're underwater doing those 10 ups and then someone actually does punch you in the face or kick you in the face when you're underwater and you get it. You have all these dudes that have nosebleeds and they're on the side of the pool and like cleaning it off and running into the pool and that kind of stuff. So that definitely prepared you for that kind of stuff. What'd you think about whenever you were like doing that with the team? You saw dudes quitting and stuff like that. What keeps on going through your mind as you were saying? I know you said like you're used to that situation. What'd you do to like help out your teammates and to make yourself prepared for that situation so you didn't end up one of those dudes?
So initially, I mean, I was pretty young. I think, well, I'm not really. I was like 20 when I was going through the pipeline at first, and like that used to kind of get to my head a lot. Is when people were I listened to other people talking and I'd be like, it'd get me nervous. You know what I mean? Just by listening to them, like talking about not even quitting, but like, how hard the events and stuff like that. But then once we started watching a lot of those guys out and I got, I kind of found myself and I started realizing that you need to stay focused and not listen to that bullshit. And then I always like to be one of those guys on team that when shit got really hard, it's just to kind of put a smile on my face and to say, hey, fuck, well, this is a suck fest now. You know what I mean? Let's just enjoy this shit as best as possible. Let's pump each other up. Let's, just laugh at the fact that we're about to carry this log around that freaking down to the, that beach that's 3 miles away and back and, get smoked with rucks on our back.
Dude, being able to smile while you're suffering not just does amazing things for yourself, but for the people around you.
Exactly.
Or if you have an opponent and you're able to smile and suffer. And I mean, dude, smiling, I mean, I do it all the time. I'm kind of known for it, but like it does amazing things.
Peach just said smiling is his thing.
Yeah, no, it really is, dude. It honestly, it's little, but it's like, and we do, especially, I mean, that's what we're training for, right? Why do we do all that shit in the pipeline? It's to train for World War situations, and sometimes we're going to be in these really, really fucking shitty situations in combat, and you don't know what's going to happen, but you might as well just like make the best of it as much as you can right then, because if you just sit negativity breeds more negativity and positivity breeds more positivity, so you might as well just be positive and just fight through it. And I think that's what I think. I just don't get yelling, being one of those guys that I hated, guys that would like when shit gets like they start yelling at their teammates, come on guys, keep up, what are you doing, blah blah blah, and they start yelling at their
nobody likes a cheerleader.
There's a time to keep in step with it. Yeah, there's a time to be a team leader and like tell your dudes that you need to we need to keep this stuff together in this way, but you don't need to be just, you could tell when somebody's doing it because they're stressed out and they don't know what to do with their stress, and so they start blaming and blaming other people for what's going on. And I think I'm more about, hey, it was just laugh, chill out, keep just keep working, pump each other up. That's all I kind of did on the pipeline for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the best things that teams would do, like if I was running like a really heinous smoke sessions and I was making them do duck walks, over and unders, whatever throughout the pool, and I can see that I put on a really tough smoke session, and then the team in unison, like they look at each other and they're like, who are all together, like that one unison, thunderous throughout the freaking thing. Is like, all right, I know my job's done here. I'm gonna send them on a couple more, but they got it right now.
It's almost done. My job's almost done.
Almost. I can't end it there because then they'll feel like they've conquered something, but I want to keep on going. I know mentally though they're in the right place that they're supposed to be at. So yeah, that's really important right there for sure.
The instructor tricks that have been like let go in this podcast. Well, I can't let them think that they won. So even when they do win, they lose.
Yeah,
but
still cones.
In my heart though, I'm like, man, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So talking about
those are your good moments. They gotta be.
Yeah. So talking about, training and doing all that stuff, your next fight is going to be April 3rd at the Cage Titans, and you're doing a fight camp right now. And I know those are tough, and you're trying to keep in your zone and do all that stuff during this whole time. So kind of, what is it like? Do you reach back to moments in selection or throughout NDOC when you're going through that stuff to train for this kind of thing right now? Is the same kind of correlation here? And how did that passing selection, help you with that?
The pipeline is more of a grind than what I do right now. I'll tell you that, man. I have plenty of rest, recovery, sleep. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm an athlete now. I'm doing a sport. So like, it's important that I recover and train, you know what I mean? But you don't have that ability sometimes in the pipeline. You just learn how to grind. So like the thing I did it for 2.5, my pipeline was 2.5 years. I got hurt my knee. I tried to tore meniscus, and then I washed back in dive school. So that stuff was, way more of a grind for over a long period of time than a 2-week fight camp. Then I get to, relax for a little bit, and then I go back into another, not 2-week, 2-month fight camp. And then I go back to a fight. So like, to me, it's easier mentally, to do this. And I think that's an advantage that I have on other people. And even right now, I talk to other fighters and, oh man, this fight camp has been, they kind of get freaked out in their head, and this fight camp's really hard for them because they're work, because the diet and everything. For me, I'm like, it's not as bad as, a combat control school. It's not as bad as all this other stuff. So it's like, I think it fuels me a lot better to, to deal with like the stress and like the fight camp part of it and stay focused. It's easier to stay focused for me now, for sure.
So are you asking us to throw some gas in your gym every once in a while? Just to give everybody a little taste?
Yeah, you should come down here and do a little smoke session and show what it really feels like to get smoked.
You'd be the only one. You'd just be like, what? It's just a little gas, guys. Come on. Yes. Give me a 1, 2, 3.
Gas. I still have a gas mask here right now. So
you may need it right now.
You'd be good to go.
Yeah, you wear it out in public now.
Never going to bed without one of those things next to me.
Well, speaking of like the mental game, I know we get a lot of questions about, hey guys, I'm not a very big dude. Should I go into the pipeline? Like Hollywood has created this like special operations image.
Yeah.
They think everybody is as big as Brian, essentially. Yeah. They think everybody is.
They're short and Mexican, yeah.
We're not all that person. Like I'm assuming that like the Navy SEAL recruiter or the Navy recruiter was like looked at you and was like, you're not a Navy SEAL.
Exactly. Because especially me, I fight at 145. I fight at I was fighting at 150 back then, but yeah, like it's not the case at all. Honestly, honestly, the bigger guys are probably going to have there's a lot of cardio, a lot of running, a lot of moving around. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. It's average size dude. It's all about who you are as a person. And you guys know that. I don't have to tell you guys that, but for everybody else there, so listen to, it has nothing to do with your, how big you are or your muscle. Like this, like bodylifting muscles don't do anything. Functional muscles is what's going to get you through fighting, and it gets you through the pipeline. And honestly, that's the thing with fights now too. Like, I'll look at a dude that like looks huge, and I'm like, that doesn't scare me. Because I know it's not about, it's about technique, and it's about, I know fighting is about technique, and it's about functional fitness, and some people just who don't look that strong or super strong. Look at DC in the UFC, Daniel Cormier. He looks like a dad, a little fat dad, but that guy.
He's got a dad body.
He does that. He's a big dad. Yeah. He's a beast, and so you never can really tell through that at all. It's a really weird concept, and you see that at the gym all the time. Like guys, I don't think people just do bench press. I like doing bench too. I like to look, I like to look fit sometimes, so I'll do a little bit of extra stuff just to make myself look more fit. But those muscles ain't doing anything. Those are just for show. This is just for the camera. So they don't do shit.
Yeah, I've seen dudes like as an instructor that were like 115 pounds soaking wet, and they were crushing all these other dudes that were 200 plus pounds, especially in the water. Now on rucking, they got to work a little bit harder because that ratio of body weight or whatever, they're not used to carrying that stuff. So don't worry about that. Yeah, definitely, that is not a thing.
It definitely weighs down. Yeah. So, but when I was on a team, I would think I was up to I was 185. So I put on a little bit of weight.
Get it?
Yeah.
With that thick boy with 3 C's.
Huge.
Yeah, I got a lot bigger. It's just because, like, it's the same thing. I was like, carrying your kid around, man, and all that stuff. Yeah, having that ratio is gonna help because we do have to carry freaking, a lot of weight all the time.
Do you have to? So, are you cutting it? Are you cutting to get to 145? Or are you walking around at 145?
No, I cut down to 145. I'm walking to 160 right now. So
okay.
But I'll diet down to like 153 like probably next week. So if say I'm fighting on the 3rd, I'm like 10 days out. I start my real like strict diet, and I diet down and I run it off. I usually use a lot of running, and I run down to like 153, and then I'll do my water cut from 53 down to 45, which is like 10 pounds of water. And then, dude, after I'm done weighing in, I rehydrate, eat my food. I'm back up to 165 by the time I step into the cage. So I put on 20 pounds.
Have you ever been close to missing weight?
No, I've never had a problem missing weight. Not even close.
Nice.
Like I've always been pretty easy for me. So
good. Well, hey man, another thing that we talk about all the time, like people ask us all the time. It's like one of these questions that we get all the time. Hey man, I'm not feeling confident. We were kind of talking about before the podcast. Last 3 fights, so the last 2 professional and the one before that, man, you had immediate. The last one was a neck crank. Before that was TKO for punches, right? And then before that was another rear naked. You haven't even spent a minute in the cage. You spent a minute and 15 seconds in your last 3 fights. So, man, how do you walk that line between staying hungry, just being there, ready to crush it every single day, and then kind of letting yourself be, man, it's a weird thing that it's hard to explain. Like, I'm confident, I'm competent, I feel good, I feel like I'm bulletproof, but how do you manage that between confident and cocky and bulletproof and hungry?
Well, first of all, when you're going into any kind of combat situation, that's not the time to be have any insecurities in you. So when my day of my fight, I'm letting my ego fly. I'm gonna go all in my head and let myself be the person I believe. I believe myself. And my fight days, man, I believe I am who I am, and it works. And I've done that my whole life. Even when I was a kid with competing and fighting and doing it as a kid, like when it came down to like spar and stuff like that, I let my inner like ego kind of go out and just like, fucking, I'm the best person in the world. I'm going to go and fight and destroy this person because I have to. Because if you have any little bit of doubt, that doubt is going to spread and it's going to affect you, and you're not going to perform as well. So you cut that shit out right then. When you're accomplishing a goal, you don't let that little bit of doubt into your brain at all. But that being said, when I'm training, you can't be like that all the time. I'm training. I get humbled all the time by training with, the best top 10 guys. I'm sparring with Calvin Cater. I'm sparring with Rob Font, Joe Lozon. I'm sparring with some of the best UFC fighters in the world. And trust me, they humble me every once in a while. It's not like I just walk through those dudes. So I get that, but I know if I can hang with those dudes, then anybody else that you're going to put me in front of me right now in my career, if you're not a top 10 dude in the world, I'm probably, I'm not scared of you. So that's kind of where I breed that confidence from.
Switching back to, you in the pipeline or you as a controller, a lot of our guys get a chance to talk to new recruits or aspiring controllers and PJs and stuff like that. And like if I were to come to you and say, man, I don't know if I can make it, right? And showing those insecurities that you're talking about, like if you could pick out one thing or give some advice to me as I'm like, hey man, I'm super short. I don't know that I'll be able to make it. Like what would you say to me?
I mean, so like if you have that attitude right now, but like so you have to make the standards, right? The physical standards. If you know you can crush those physical standards, then you're going to be confident you can make it because you've done it over and over. You have to prove to yourself you can do it by actually accomplishing the standard that is required to do the job before you can. Yeah, if you're not making the standard and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, because you know in your heart that you're not going to make it at that point. But if you know if you're actually doing the things right and you're training, like you can train all the doubt out of your brain by just training hard and accomplishing the goals that you need to be accomplished, and you stay focused and you go home and you do everything you need to do to accomplish those goals, then you're not going to have a doubt. So then they're not going to come up to you asking like that. They're going to be confident they can make it because they believe in themselves. like, it's not fake confidence I have. It's true confidence because I train every single day and I know it's going to happen because I put the work in the gym. So if you put the work in yourself, then you're going to come out there and have the confidence to do what you need to do when it's time to go. The only there's still there's still like the chances like something goes wrong, like in the pipeline, you get hurt or something like that. I mean, that might happen, but like I think the careers are usually willing to work with somebody that gets hurt. But if they come and they just have a doubt in their brain, like, I don't know if this is for me, then it's probably not for you because you're not doing the standard and you just know you're not cut out for the job.
Right. And we always tell guys that, the pipeline is, 80% mental, 20% physical. I still believe in that entirely. And when you talk about training to that level of confidence, if you can train so well that you can take that 20% that so many people are worried about, and you're like, hey man, I'm not worried about. I can just focus on the mental portion. That's 20% that you don't have to worry about anymore. You can just press on. Like, hey man, I'm physically able to crush everything you guys throw at me.
Yes.
Now, once it starts getting hungry, sleep deprived, extremely cold, like, that's when that mental game comes in and carries people. So, no, I think that's a good point.
Exactly. That is a good point. And that's when you build on top of that 20%, talking about 20% physical. Once you go that they make you tired, they smoke you. And, if you make it through that, if you don't quit all the way through that, you're going to be that much stronger. And that's why I think in the pipeline, we see like initially, it's like once you guys make it through I don't know how they run it now. I don't know. I know a lot of things change, but we say once you make it all the way, for me, ATC was really hard. But once I made it through ATC, I knew I was I could make it through everything else they handed at me because ATC was hard as hell for me. Like that was I was challenged mentally, not even physically. I'm talking mentally, but I dug deep and I stood up late studying. I went to my friends, my teammates helped me out a lot. I jump in the room, study with them at night. I was doing everything I possibly could mentally, along with it physically, to make. So I knew if I can make it to that, nothing else that they threw at me didn't even matter anymore.
When you went through air traffic control school, was it the construct of you went through with normal Air Force ATC folks, or did you go through with only CCT wannabe?
No, we had some normal ATC folk in our class for sure. We had our team guys in our class, and we had normal ATC. We did that. I did radar too. We did all that stuff. We didn't just do tower. I don't know what they do now. They didn't just do tower. So yeah, we did ATC, normal ATC school with getting smoked for like 2.5 hours before you go to school every single day.
Standard. Yeah, 'cause that helps. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. And I remember I went there and I think it was in the fall actually, but freaking the fire ants were like so bad down there, and we get all messed up, getting attacked, eating alive, doing log rolls, all the thing. It was good stuff, man. And it was definitely a grind for me.
Good.
Yeah.
I think overall, I mean, one of the things I like to tell the students is the pipeline doesn't exist for you to prove anything to us. It's to prove to yourself that you can do all these things, and that way you won't hesitate when you're downrange and you're expected to do these things.
Yes, and it's definitely. I mean, for us, I think it's been proven over and over and over again. If you hear about all the stuff, all the different conflicts that our career fields have been put into, and we always rise to the occasion. I've heard a lot of really good positive things. We have all these silver stars and Air Force crosses, and because we perform when shit gets really bad, our career fields seem like they always perform and do really, really well. So it is true, and it's a necessary pipeline that we have, and it works really well. And you prove it to yourself, and it proves it to all the other career fields when we're on the team, and we get into a conflict, and we rise to the occasion.
All right.
Can't argue with that.
So.
I was just at so it's pretty awesome. Where I'm at right now, I'm working, but also got a chance to go to a buddy's retirement, and he retired after 24 years, I think. But I mean, the group of people that he was able to bring together were guys like Ivan Ruiz, Air Force Cross. I got no kidding, a handful of legends that are here to celebrate somebody. And one of the things about being in the SOF community, it's not specific to special warfare, but in the SOF community, a lot of times when we have a reunion or we're able to all get together, it's usually for something bad due to a death or something like that. So there's usually this overlying, like, okay, it's a somber moment, but for us to be able to get together for a retirement or a celebration and everybody there and everybody's having a blast, it was phenomenal. So I know that's kind of random and probably not in line with what we're talking about, but man, I was dwelling on this yesterday and all weekend as I'm seeing all these people. I'm like, man, what an amazing group of people.
The best, man.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. Like, that's why I always tell people I'm like, dude, it's totally worth it just for that fact right there. Just the people you're going to make, they make you better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, they say iron sharpens iron, like in the way you're training, but it's so true. Like, man, the dudes I met in my pipeline, I still talk to all the guys, that I used to, train with. And it's like, not like they all there. I mean, the amount of support I got actually from, I thought maybe going with the controller MMA thing that people are going to be like, what's this? He left, he got out of the job and now he's trying to like promote himself as the, CCT thing. But dude, it was the opposite. Everybody was like, dude, good for you. They're so supportive. And I can't wait. I mean, usually it always is a bad thing. And I'm always, every single time I see like something on the news and like 2 Americans dead in Afghanistan, I'm like, just statistically, it's been, for me, I mean, since I got in, I was going with the pipeline with Sibley, when Sibley and Forest died to like, my friend Elton died. There's been a lot of deaths in this life. So every single time somebody dies, it's like, oh man, like, I'm always like, shit. There's a good chance as a CCT or a special warfare guy in that mix, and so I'm always like, shit. But I'm also like you said, I'm also really excited whenever I get to go down and see all those. I can't wait, especially now that I'm kind of, like I said, I don't really travel too much. I'm with my gym, I'm just training. You know what I mean? I don't get to see all my boys too much anymore, and so it's like kind of like a different pace of life. But I can't wait to go down there and see all those people, and and the thing is, it's probably going to be, honestly, it's sad to say, but it's probably going to be one of those kind of things where I when somebody I know dies, and I'm going to have to go see people on a sad, a sad, reason to go down there. But it is what it is. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But that's what it is. Cool that we get to go see each other like that. When something happens, the whole community comes back together, and you mm-hmm. realize like what we're doing. It's it's a good reminder why I think a lot. This is another thing I say. Like, when I first started off, wanted to be a CC, I just wanted to do a cool job, right? And then when I became a combat controller, it was more about the community more than doing the actual job. It was more about the who I represented as a whole as combat controller, because my friends, all the dudes I worked with, what we do as a community. That's what means more to me now than from when I originally started to be a combat controller.
So many people ask us, oh, well, what about the job? Tell us exactly about SR. How many times are you going to deploy as a combat controller? It's hard for us to answer those questions because I don't even care. Like, I love being a PJ, but I don't care about the job, man. I care about the dudes, like the guys in that team room. That's why I keep doing the job.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. I'm 100% there with you, man. And I mean, and obviously I had my personal dreams and stuff like that. I wanted to follow, and it's going really well for me. But I still love the community, and like, if something happened where fighting thing was done, I'd probably try to get back into CCT. Maybe go through the pipeline again.
when that you don't have to go through the pipeline. When this zombie apocalypse kicks off, man, you're in.
All right, get the call. I still got my kit in my closet back there, dude. It's all ready to go.
You'll never get rid of that kit.
Hell no, dude. I'm keeping that shit.
No,
I got my kit. I got all sorts of things around here. I got my beret right here. Still
yeah, get it.
Oh, nice. Cool. Well, speaking of legends, let's get back on a slightly lighter note. Since you are by far the most famous person we've ever had on our podcast, and maybe the best looking.
No way.
Definitely the best looking, maybe the most famous.
Nicest beard.
I'll take the best looking, but not the most famous.
Well, we're going to do a lightning round, so we're going to just start hitting you with questions and whatever comes to mind first thing. So I'll start it off. Submission or knockout? What's your preferred method?
Ooh.
Knockout. Everybody loves a knockout, man. It feels good to knock somebody out. Come on, knockout.
Yeah. All right. So what's the most stacked weight class in the UFC? Is it men's 185 or women's 115?
Men's 185. I would say there's some freaking huge monsters in that freaking.
Is John Jones the GOAT? Follow on question. John Jones the GOAT, greatest of all time?
Oh.
As of now, John Jones is the GOAT. You have to. You got to say it, man. He's beating everybody and a pretty good. But man, freaking Reyes. I thought he won that fight, dude. I thought he fucking won that fight. I'm sorry,
I know, man.
dude.
That was so close.
I had him. It was so close, but as of now, I mean, John Jones is the GOAT right now. He's beat everybody. And the thing about John Jones is when he rematches people that he had a close fight with, he usually dominates them in the second
Murders them.
So that's why I think he's the best fighter of all time. So he figures it out. He's so analytical with his style and his fighting. He beats people in their own game. If they're good at something, he'll come out there and he'll beat them in their own game, which is unbelievable. He's just mean. He stays composed the entire thing. His composure is like, you got to look at all these the best fighters in the world. They're all very composed when they're in the cage. Just like we were talking about being composed in a stressful situation. They are just like kind of going into like a Zen mode where they're just like psychopaths and they just move forward, calm. Doesn't matter what happens to them. They just keep moving forward on the person. And John Jones does that. And all the best champions do that. So John Jones.
All right. So those dudes that are coming into the pipeline, and one book, what would you recommend for one book? Get that mindset, gets you pumped up. What do they need to read?
The one book that you need to read before you come to the pipeline to get you pumped up.
Or movie.
Alone at Dawn, for sure. I say you have to read that, man. Just to get a little taste of, our career field. I don't know about if you go into, but our career field, just to get a little bit of taste. I think that's a really good book and it has a lot of good stories in there. I think you should read that one for sure. Alone at Dawn.
All right, I got one. AC 130 or A10?
AC 130.
Oh,
damn!
Man,
right
you
away.
didn't even hesitate.
Right away.
Didn't hesitate.
Yeah, multiple sensors, hit 2 targets at once, longer time overhead. Obviously, I mean, A10 are really cool. You have 30 mic fucking blasting. I mean, I say AC 130. I mean, that you can do way more stuff than AC 130.
Man, On Station Apparel's going to be happy about this.
I can't wait.
My boys On Station Apparel.
Get it. All right, man. How about this? Okay, go, Trent.
No, I was just curious. Have you ever been to a Lozon family picnic? Because I heard they throw down pretty hard at those things.
Yeah, so Danny. So I used to spar with. I was talking about before I joined the military. I used to spar with Danny, Joe's brother, and Danny's a tough kid. Danny Lozon is a freaking he's the exact opposite of Joe. Joe is like a computer science nerd, wicked nice, super. Danny's like a tough kid. You know what I mean? Parties hard. But he can throw hands. So I used to spar, and every single time we're in the gym, Danny just goes. The reason why I used to spar, he got kicked out of Lozon's, and he would spar at a different gym. And so I would spar with him there, and with some other pros. And dude, that kid just fucking throws down. But when they get together, him and Joe they'll throw down at family picnics or anywhere. It's pretty fun. But I love them both. Good dudes.
All right, man. So you have to get into a fight. Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
A horse-sized duck or 100. Dude, overwhelming force of the 100 horse-sized. I'm gonna go with. I think I could take down a horse-sized duck. If you ever see Avatar. You ever see that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thing. He puts him in a jiu-jitsu move. I watched it the other day. He put him in like this sick jiu-jitsu move. He pulls his head over the thing and he chokes him out that way. I would do that. I'd try to get that move on him.
You heard it here first, MMA community. Connor Matthews said he could beat up a horse-sized duck.
Absolutely.
This is the content you need.
You jump around the back of the neck. You pull the bill over your shin and you crank it down. That's a blood choke right there. He's going down. I got it.
Well, as you're, completely out of the military now, what would you, 2-part question, what would you say is the thing that you miss the most? And what is the thing that you miss the least?
The thing I miss the most is the guys, teams for sure. The things that miss the least is their freaking EPRs and and doing
CBTs.
CBTs. That's those things, the CBTs and EPRs. But yeah, no, man, I really do miss more than that. I miss the guys. I still contact them, but it's nothing like doing cool shit with your friends, like jumping out of planes and going sick TDYs and shooting schools, and it's it's fun. You're just doing cool stuff all the time, and then deployments are pretty interesting and fun. I like that. I enjoyed it, man. So yeah, I miss the guys though the most.
Man, right. that feels like a good place in my heart, Connor, to end it up. Hey, man, before we close it up here, because we always do a recap, man, tell us how to follow you. Tell us what your socials are. I know you got a fight coming, hopefully on April 3rd, but most importantly, man, tell us how we can support you. Is it buying that sweet shirt you got on? Is it following the Instagram? Like, man, tell us how to find you and how to support you.
Yeah, so follow me on The Controller MMA. That's my Instagram. That's the thing I use probably the most. I got a Facebook page, same thing, the Control MMA. Yeah, please buy a shirt. We just got a whole bunch of them in. The Control MMA shirts. I have a business manager, my friend Erin. She's been working with me just to help me out because with training and everything, I was getting overwhelmed taking orders. So it's going to go a lot smoother now than in the past. So we're going to try to get these shirts out. We're probably coming out with some more merch. But yeah, just please, you guys reach out to me, repost me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's about it, guys. And follow me for my next fight, April 3rd. I find this kid, Chris Berberich. He's from Alaska. He has 2 titles in Alaska, apparently. So it should be a good fight. They're actually starting to get up there. We're going to get some better guys here from here on out. Hopefully, I need to get some cage time in here. So I want somebody to come, rise to the challenge. But if they can't, they're probably going to get, probably going to be the same thing over and over again until I get to the UFC. But hey, hopefully this kid has something to throw at me. Let's see what happens.
All right. Yeah. Well, Connor, I want to say thanks again from all of us at One's Ready and those guys that are out there listening to you. You hit on a ton of freaking awesome points that we hit on a lot here in the podcast. And hopefully these guys are able to take home, some of these points of view that you had and kind of what got you through the pipeline, talking about like that constant exposure to MMA and those heightened states where you're fighting a dude. And, most dudes would be a little bit more, afraid like you were talking about. And, scared to go into situations like that. So translating that into the pipeline that helped you get through, obviously you had that physical preparation locked down because that's what you've been doing your entire life. And that's exactly what we're looking for, as far as the special ops community, dudes that this is their life. We're not looking for guys like, all right, I got through the pipeline. I'm good. I'm done. Whatever. I'm going to move on with my life and, let myself become a fat slob. It's dudes that are going to continue being just like you. And you have that mindset where you're looking out for your dudes and team is number one. And then you crush every goal. Every time you step into the ring, like you said, you're freaking like, you have that mindset like, I am going to do this. I'm all in. And I came here specifically to win. I've been prepping for so long. So I think all those are super important points in translating the guys that are going into selection. So with that being said, yeah, I really appreciate you freaking coming on and talking to us, sharing a little bit of light. Definitely go out there and watch this fight. I'm going to be watching your fight April 3rd. Make sure you go ahead and follow him. And that's it from us. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate having me on, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Keep doing this, man. I think it's really good for the community, and it's spreading, spreading the community, let people know who we are, and help people get in the right guys to do the job. So thank you very much for what you guys. Thank you guys for your service. Stay safe out there. I know we have a dangerous job, so just all you guys stay safe. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Connor.
Thanks, brother.
Go win, baby.
Yeah. Thank you.